Okay guys, the function r is a function is defined on r. Now what does r mean? You did it before in inequalities. R means real numbers. It means negative numbers, fractions and decimals are included. Okay? You already know fractions are included. Why? Because you see f of a half. F of a half means the input is a half, and a half is a real number. So that's what happens there with that one. Okay? So basically we're going to find f of 2 first, right? F of 2, if f of x equals 3x minus 1, therefore f of 2 must be 3 times 2 minus 1, which is, anybody? It's 5. Then we're going to get f of a half. F of a half, which is part 2, it's going to be 3 times a half minus 1. And what do we get for that? Anybody? A half, right? 1.5 minus 1 is a half. Now, find the value of k element n. What does that mean? Element n. K has to be an answer 1, 2, 3 or above. Cannot be negative, cannot be 0, cannot be a fraction, cannot be a decimal. Okay, that's what we know about k already. Now, f of 2 equals k f a half. Okay, f of 2 is 5. What's f of a half? Guys, it says it there. What's f a half? A half. So 5 equals a half of k. 5 equals k over 2. Where do we bring the 2? Up. And we get 10 equals k. How many people got k equals 10? Okay, the majority. That's good. Okay. Now that we know that k equals 10, okay, we gotta figure out what about the third part. Investigate if f of h equals k times f of 1 over h, okay? So, this is parts 1 and 2. And this part here, part 3. So that's all done there, okay? And what was that b part? Call it part B, okay? Now we're on the next part, which will be over this side of the board, okay? We'll do it in blue or purple, because purple's easier. Okay, we call this part C. Now, what is f of h? F of h is what? F of x is 3x minus 1. What's f of h? 3h minus 1. Okay, I got f of h. Now I need to get f of 1 over h. What is f of 1 over h? 3 times 1 over h minus 1. What's 3 times 1 over h? Anybody tell?
3 over h.
3 over h, exactly. It's like 3 times a half is 3 over 2. You only multiply, remember when you're multiplying fractions, top by top, bottom by bottom. 3 times 1, 3. 1 times h, h. Minus 1. Now, we have to figure out what k is. So what we can say is f of h, which is in green, is 3h minus 1, equals k, which we'll keep in black, is 10. And then finally in red is going to be f of 1 over h, which is 3 over h minus 1. Now let's multiply it out and see what happens. We're going to get 3h minus 1 equals 30 over h minus 10. Are they the same?
No.
They're not the same. Everybody can see they're not the same, can't they? So that means no, they just aren't the same. So they are not equal. How many people got them as not equal? Well done. Okay, so this is question 5, okay? A function is defined by f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus 1. If f of minus 1 is 6 and f of 1 is 2, write down two equations in a and b. Okay, that's the first part of the question. Stop it here. So what we're going to get is f of minus 1 remains, replace all x's with minus 1s. We're going to get a times minus 1 squared plus b times minus 1 plus 1. We know the answer is 6. Then what happens is it's going to be a, because minus 1 squared is 1. A minus b, bring this 1 over to your side, comes a minus 1. A minus b equals 5. Who got that first equation now? Okay, well done, a good majority of us there. Okay, next one. F of 1 equals 2. F of 1 equals 2. Replace all x's with 1s. We're going to have a times 1 squared plus b times 1 plus 1 equals, now what does that equal? 2. We're going to get a, because 1 times 1 squared is 1, a times 1 is 1. We're going to get a plus b, bring the 1 out the other side, comes a minus 1. We're going to get a plus b equals 1. There's our second simultaneous equation, and that is the answer of part 1. Solve these equations and find the values of a and b. Okay, let's solve the simultaneous equation. Not that big of a deal. A minus b equals 5, a plus b equals 5. Draw a big line over here, add it directly downwards. 2a equals 10, a equals 5. Yeah? Now, a plus b equals 5. A is 5, what's b? B, anybody? B has to be 0, because it doesn't make a difference to the a. Who got 5 and 0? Only a couple of you. Is that the correct answer?
No, 5 equals 1.
Sorry? Oh, sorry, it's a plus b equals 1. Excuse me. Excuse me, guys. Sorry, the simultaneous equation. So this should be a 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so I made a mistake. Somebody put me over quicker. Okay, guys. When you're doing this, especially in a test, a plus b, 5, a plus 1, 1, okay? 2a equals 6, a equals 3. Everybody happy with that? A equals 3. Now we can go into a plus b equals 1. A plus b equals 1. That's 3 plus b equals 1. B therefore is, anybody? Minus 2. So who got a equals 3, b equals minus 2? Okay. What's asked you to do is f of 2. F of 2 means replace the input with 2. And you're going to get 2 squared plus 8. F of 2 equals the square root of 12. Okay? Can somebody tell me what is the square root of 12 in your calculator? I'm going for 2 root 3. Is that what you got? Okay, 2 root 3. Now, let's do f of 8. F of 8 is 8 squared plus 8. It's root 72. And if I know this one off by heart, I think it's 6 root 2. Is it 6 root 2? Okay, put that in your calc. Is it actually 6 root 2?
Yes, it is, sir.
Alright, no, sorry, I just double thinking that. 6 root 2, okay? So f of 2 is 2 root 3, f of 8 is 6 root 2. Now, what it says next is, given that when we multiply our two answers together we get k times root 6, find out what k is, okay? So here's what we need to do. So, first things we gotta do is we've got to multiply our two answers from the last part. We call this the red section here, okay? The red section of my answer. We're going to multiply the two of these by 2. So we're going to get 2 root 3 multiplied by 6 root 2. What's that in your calculator? Is it 12 root 6? Yeah? This equals 12 root 6. 12 root 6 equals k root 6. What's k equal to? 12. How many people got that out? It's impressive, lads. Well done. It's a tough question. Okay. Next one. Am I doing B here or B and C? B. Okay. A function is defined as f of x equals the square root of 12 over x, where x is a positive number. Do you see that? X has to be bigger than 0. It can be 0.1, 0.2, it can be a massive number, okay? Express f of 27 in its simplest form. Okay. F of x equals root 12 over root 27. Oh, sorry, over 27. So not f of x, f of 27, excuse me. I replace the x with 27. What's that in the calculator? Can you tell me?
2 over 3.
Sorry?
2 over 3.
2 over 3. So there's your answer right there. Simplest form is 2 over 3. Right, so the calculator will do that nicely. Now, part 2. F of x equals 4 root 3. Find the value of x. So f of x, which is equal to the formula root 12 over root x equals 4 root 3. Can anyone in class tell me what is stopping you from doing the equation in the purple box? What's the problem with that? Before the fraction, there's another problem. The square roots are the problem. Anybody have an idea how to get rid of square roots? Square both sides. So what you're going to do is you're going to square both sides. Okay? What happens when you square a square root? Can we tell me? If I write down root 25 to be squared, what's the answer? 25. If I write down root 22 plus 3 to be squared, what's the answer? 22 plus 3, which is still 25. Now, if I write it like this, if I write something really complicated like this, okay? If I write something like, the square root of 25 plus x divided by x squared plus xy plus 26. If I square that, what happens?
Just get rid of the square root.
I'll just get rid of the square root. That's what you got to be aware of, okay? If everything is in the square root, when you square it, you just get rid of the square root. So what is left of the left-hand side now? 12 over x. Now, this one's a different story. We can do this in the calculator, can't we? We can do 4 root 3 by 4 root 3. You should get 16 multiplied by 9. 144? Yeah? Yeah, thank you. Okay. Which letter do we want on its own? We want the x. So bring the x up. And the 144?
That's 48.
Yeah, you're right. It is 48. Sorry guys, 48 here. Not 144. Yeah. Bring the 48 down and the x up. And what do we get? X equals a quarter, lads, okay? Is that the correct answer?
Yes.
Yep, okay. Okay guys. So look, brings me a tough question there, okay? So that's all of it there, okay? We just get rid of this. Oop. What do we have to do now? Number C, is it?
Yeah.
C is the last one?
Okay.
Okay, can I move on from this? from part B? Okay, C. Now, the function f of x equals x squared plus bx plus c is graphed on the right. The curve crosses the x-axis at -1, 0 and contains the point 3, -4. Write down two equations in B and C. Okay? When the input is, what? Give me two inputs and give me two outputs. Input equals, and write down output equals, Okay, give me an input, lads. When the input is -1, the output is? 0. Where'd you get that from, Dennis? The point -1, 0 is on the line. It's on the graph. Okay? So this is x equals -1, y equals 0. When the input is -1, the output is 0. Dennis, give me... What are you saying?
It's not the other way around.
No.
Why not?
Because the input is always the x value.
But isn't it 0 on the x-axis?
Can anybody express this information in another way for me? They've been doing it recently with us. What is it? F of something equals something. What goes in here? And what goes in here? 0. That's another way they can ask the question. F of -1 equals 0. So now you're getting used to all the different ways they can ask the same question. What about the next one, James? What's the next input we haven't used yet? Look for a point on the graph. 3. Input is 3. Output is?
-4.
Express that like this one here.
-3 over f. No.
F of?
F of 3 equals -4.
That's it. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to do the two then. Exactly what James was telling me to do there, and we'll be ready to do this question quite easy. Okay, let's begin. Alright, f of -1, lads. Replace all x's with -1s. And the answer is? What's the answer? 0. Now we're going to get 1 minus b plus c equals 0. Move the 1 out the other side. We get minus b plus c equals -1. Happy enough with that? Okay. Now that's done. Next one is f of 3 equals -4. F of 3 means replace all x's with 3's. We're going to get 9 plus 3b plus c equals -4. Bring the 9 out the other side, it comes to -9. Then we're going to end up 3b plus c equals -13. Okay. Can anybody tell me a really quick way to do this question? There's two really quick ways. Which letter would you like to get rid of, B or C?
C.
C or B, they're both just as easy in this case. We can multiply the top one by 3 to get rid of B, or we can multiply the top one by -1 to get rid of C. So we'll get rid of C, okay? Brian's on a roll recently, so we'll take his advice, alright? So Brian, multiply the top equation by -1. What do we get?
B minus C equals 1.
Okay. Then we have 3b plus c equals -13. Add them down, what do we get?
4b
Yeah.
equals -12.
Yeah. Where does the b go?
The 4 goes on the reverse.
Oh, sorry, where does 4 go? Yeah. And then the answer is? Which is?
-3.
-3. -3 is perfect. Okay. Now, what we learned earlier is that b minus c is 1. -3 minus c equals 1. Bring Bring the c over this side and the 1 over this side, and we get minus 3 minus 1 equals c. C therefore is minus 4 equals c. B is minus 3, C is minus 4. Okay guys.